From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
Welcome aboard the Ear to There Podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. It is my absolute goal in life to take away all of that stress, all that anxiety, and all that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip so you can really focus on the fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. And I help you enjoy all that magic absolutely for free. So I'll take care of getting you the best hotel prices. I'll take care of your dining reservations, your fast passes, special event tickets, much, much more. All that stuff absolutely at no extra cost to you. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, no obligation quote over at ear2theretravel.com. Also, I have a newish podcast. It's called Running for Sandwiches. The tagline on that one is running, rewards, and a dash of Disney. So if you're a runner, if you're into running, or if you just want some kind of positive, maybe happy weekly podcast, check it out. You can find that on iTunes. You can find it on Stitcher. You can find it on Google Play, I believe. And you can also find it at the website, runningforsandwiches.com. Alrighty, this is episode number 91 for the week of October 2nd, 2017. Now, grab a drink, grab a snack, maybe get one for your sidekick or your buddy, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. What makes Walt Disney Animation's animated movies so memorable? I mean, there's the music, which is always, let's face it, phenomenal. There are the timeless stories of princesses and kings and queens and talking animals. There are the villains, and I love the villains, right? From Stromboli to the Evil Queen to Maleficent to Scar and Jafar and Hades. The villains truly make these films totally memorable. But one character, or should I say one type of character, is totally invaluable to these films, and they are the sidekicks. The movies would not be the same without them, and that's why this week we are talking about the best sidekicks in Disney's animated films. Today's guest is the donkey to my Shrek, the volcano to my Joe, the Mr. Miyagi to Daniel-san, to my Daniel-san is what I should have said. Lauren Gaggioli, the voice of the intros to both the Ear to There podcast and Running for Sandwiches. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me back, Phil.
No,
what a great intro.
I messed it up. I'm going to keep it, though, because it shows that I'm human. I'm not a robot. I can't do this every time perfectly. People shouldn't expect it.
No, they shouldn't.
But thank you for coming back on. And yeah, I haven't had you since we did the, I think the Disneyland versus Disney World, like 6-hour show that we did. That's
yes,
the last one.
Yes, the marathon.
Yeah. Dude, I got to tell you, though, that's gotten a ton of downloads. It's one of my most downloaded episodes. So,
really? Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love talking about that. So I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, that one. All right, so today we're talking about the, what do we say, best animated sidekicks in Disney movies, right? That's
Yes.
kind of the way. All right, I want to make sure that we tackled it the same way.
We are on the same page. Yes.
Because, dude, and when I started looking, there are so many good animated sidekicks.
Yes.
It's like every Disney movie has at least one, some like several.
Yes.
And
Yes. And that was the hard part.
yeah,
Picking favorites.
mine too. Like I had a few. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, I cheated a little bit. I for one of these, I had like a couple of them included in one because I couldn't pick. Anyway, you'll see when I get there. All right, so I guess, yeah, you get started. So I don't want to steal your first one. So
Oh.
try to hit it out of the park with your first one so I don't steal it.
Okay,
What do you got?
I'm gonna start with one of the classics, and I'm gonna go to Cinderella, and I'm gonna sneak two in because I can.
Yeah, there you go.
So Jack and Gus Gus, I
Yes.
think, are two of the sweetest little sidekicks. They bring such amazing levity to that story, and their scenes are just precious, and they help Cindy. They clearly love her, she loves them, and they're just always there supporting her. So I thought that, to get us started, go into the classics was probably a good place to start. So I'm gonna go with Jack and Gus Gus.
Now for a name. I've got one. Octavius. But for short, we'll call you Gus.
Racket, Gus, Gus. Racket, racket. Gus, Gus.
Now I've got to hurry. See that he keeps out of trouble, Jack. And don't forget to-
I didn't pick them. Here's what I did with my list. And I love that choice or those choices. So you're cheating right off the bat. That's awesome.
Yes.
But I didn't pick it because I was like, Lauren's a girl. She's going to pick.
I gotta
anyone-
go with a princess.
Yeah, I was going to
somewhere.
say any of the princess ones, I had a feeling you're going to go with. So I didn't pick them. I really, really like those two. I don't know. What's just a girl mouse? The one that helps with the dress at all? Does she have a
Yes.
name? What's her name?
I don't know. I am not sure
Yeah.
if she does.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's some sexism in the early Disney movies right there.
Totally, but
She
she
should have a name.
definitely like sings, and she's precious too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got like a song and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she should have a name. She probably
She
does.
should have a name. She probably does.
So, yeah, I
Somebody's
just
gonna
did-
listen to this, and they're yelling.
Yeah.
They're yelling at us right now,
like,
Phil.
you
We
dopes
just
didn't-
can't hear them.
Yeah, like you guys are dopes. You didn't do your research. Come on, you're.
I
putting on the
know,
show
I
here. You didn't
know.
do it. No, I just caught you off guard, but yeah, I love that pick. And they have the awesome scenes with the cat's name's Lucifer, right?
Yes.
So that is is that the greatest like villain name ever for any Disney movie? They don't even mess around.
Look, I'm a cat lover. We have one, but it's a great name for a cat.
Yeah, that is, and they don't
You're
mess around. They just call him what he is. This is
Oh
like-
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You have Gaston and you have, I don't know, Maleficent. I don't know what that means. It sounds menacing. But
Yeah.
well, then they have the evil queen. That's pretty telltale right
Yeah.
there. You're not really
Yeah.
pulling any punches. But
No.
Lucifer's that's a pretty mean name.
Yeah. I just love that scene with Lucifer too, where with the teacups, and they're like, it's just, it's so fun.
That's a great movie. It really is.
Yeah. Oh,
That's-
it's fantastic.
I'm getting confused. Is that the one, Cinderella, I have the one with the bubbles that are floating in the air and it's her face and she's singing different
Yes.
parts of the song. Yeah, that's a really cool.
Yeah.
That was a really cool story behind that. I remember reading, I heard it on a podcast or something, that when Walt Disney he thought of that scene that came directly from him.
Really?
And he was going to do different women singing different parts to kind of make that scene work. But then he asked, I forget the name of the actress who played Cinderella, but he asked her if she could sing in several different keys and just use her own voice dubbed over itself over and over and over to make that scene work. And she did. So it's all one actress singing that whole thing. It's pretty cool.
Oh, amazing.
See, you find out
Yeah.
nerdy
So creative.
facts every show. That's what people come back
You're full of them. Yeah. It's awesome. Anytime
nerd
we hang
facts.
out or talk, I come away with these gems that
Oh my
then
God,
I get to share.
I had to drive you nuts in Disneyland. I was saying that to Amy.
No, it was amazing.
I was like, this girl's been here 700 more times than me, and I'm pointing out stuff and driving her nuts. Anyway,
But no, I was learning stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
because it's one thing to grow up with a park and experience it often. It's another thing to go with somebody who has studied it and understands what's behind it. My family wasn't into the history of the parks or Walt. They just loved what he built.
yeah,
And you bring a whole new level to
Yeah.
that.
I know. I went with my sister-in-law. We were in Disney World, and we're walking around, and I'm pointing stuff out, and I realized I was like, dude, if you want me to shut up, just tell me to shut up. I know you might just want to enjoy the rides. I might, I'm a pain in the butt. Anyway, all right, so let's move on to my first one.
Alrighty.
This is one that I'm afraid you might have on your list. So,
All right.
one of the funniest, if not the funniest, Disney animated characters of all time, and it's Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. Did you have him on your list?
Did not have him
Wow,
because
awesome.
yeah, he's awesome, obviously,
So
but
right.
not one of my favorite movies. So
I think
I
it's
did go
so
there.
underrated. It's
No,
one of my
it
favorites.
absolutely is.
So that was weird. That movie, like that was like written one way as like the Emperor of the Sun or something, and then it was like in production for like a year. Sting was supposed to write all the songs for it, and then they cancel it, and then they rebooted it as Emperor's New Groove and made it funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, they had like this whole different cast and and it's different director and other animators. Like half the movie was done, and they looked at it and they hated it, so they just redid it and changed the whole story.
I love that.
Yeah, but so Kronk is, of course, voiced by Patrick Warburton, who is he's the greatest, like, character actors of all time. I mean, he's Putty.
Oh, he's
From
fantastic.
Seinfeld. Yeah, he was the Tick, right? I think on the show, the first Tick show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he does obviously Soren. He's in another attraction, right? I know he's on Soarin'.
Yes, we talked about this.
Darn, I'm not
was
going
it?
to remember.
Me neither.
I'll have to add that in later. I'll have to go back and find out. But the character of Kronk, right, is the best. So
So funny.
he's a sidekick, and he's like a henchman to Yzma, who's a great villain, by the way. Voiced by Eartha Kitt, who sang Santa Baby. How cool is that? And also was Catwoman in the old Batman show, which is crazy.
Oh, that's right.
But I love that version of Santa Baby by her, and I hate Madonna's version of Santa Baby. She's just trying to do an Eartha Kitt impression. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm going off on another tangent. Let's talk about Kronk. So he sticks with Yzma, even though he's not like an evil guy, but she is. And she like tries to murder Cusco. She tries to kill the Emperor, which he actually ends up putting the poison in, but it's not poison. It's the llama potion, which is hilarious. But anyway, so Kronk, he's loyal. He's hilarious. Has a heart of gold. He just kind of ends up following the wrong person. But and he has one of my favorite lines ever in any Disney movie when it's all awkward at the dinner table when they're trying to poison Cusco. And he goes, hey, did you see the sky today? Talk about blue. I love that line. It kills me. So then
all the small talk. Kronk is good at it.
Yeah, when he's talking to the squirrel and he's like, squeaking, and he like translates for the squirrel. He's great. So yeah, that's why Kronk's on my list. He might be my favorite one on this list. So yeah, that's why I had to go with him.
I forget where I was, but Emperor's New Groove was on, and that it was that scene, and they were. I was reminded, like I only saw it a few times because it kind of came out. I think I was maybe in high school or like middle school, so it wasn't a time where a lot of my friends were super into going to Disney movies.
Right.
So it just was not something on my radar, but I was reminded in watching that. I was like, oh, I gotta rent this and sit down and watch the whole thing again because it really is such a creative story. And I mean, his voice alone, like,
it just makes you laugh.
Forget the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I could just watch it for him. So, knowing who it is now and looking back on it as an adult, I was like, this is something I should definitely revisit.
Oh, it's so good. My kids, by the way, love it. They think and Alexa, she, like, you got to hang out with Alexa a little bit in Disneyland. Her main goal, she's like me. Her main goal is to make people laugh. That's all she wants to do.
Yeah.
So
she's good at it too.
She is good. She actually has some really good jokes. Her new thing now is after every attempted joke, she'll like hit me on the arm and go, "That was a good one, right, Dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was a good one." And she likes it. She tries to impress me with her jokes, but she'll sit and like she's seen it 4 or 5 times, and she'll die laughing at everything he says. She thinks he's hilarious. She's at that age now where she gets like all the jokes. Like Jack and Zoe are still kind of young; they're not even 5, so a lot of the stuff gets lost on them a little bit. She gets like the scene when they were at like the diner and he ends up working there. She thinks it's hilarious. She cracks up. So anyway, it's
cute.
It's a great show. It's a great movie. The show and the Emperor's New School was not very good, and Kronk's New Groove wasn't very good either, but Emperor's New Groove is awesome. So
gotta go with the original.
Yeah, man.
Always.
All right, so where are you going with your next one? And see if you're going to steal one of the ones I have.
So I'm gonna go to another newer movie. And I'm going to stick with a character that kind of starts as an adversarial character, but then through their journey, they come together. And I'm going to go with Maximus from Tangled.
Wow. All right. Okay. He wasn't on my list either.
He's not?
No.
Okay, good. We're not stealing. I have some awesome honorable mentions that I have a feeling are overlaps. But I just remember, so my husband is not as Disney as I am. And I asked him, who he would pick, because I'm always curious to hear, from someone who maybe just enjoys movies or enjoys it from a very different place. And the first character he went with was Maximus. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, that's kind of a strange pull for someone who, we didn't watch Tangled all that recently. And then I went back and was thinking about it, and he's a scene stealer. I mean, the animation, the voice, the story of them coming together and supporting one another, and that kind of like ribbing, that goes on. I went back and I was like, yeah, you know what? I think he's one of the best animated sidekicks because of that whole journey. And he's continued. And I mean, you could argue it's Maximus and Pascal, but for my money, Maximus is the best.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's an awesome character. This is great because I didn't think he never even entered my mind. He's not on my honorable mentions list.
Awesome.
Yeah, like he's not one that I even thought of. And now that I'm thinking of it, I'm like, yo, he's right. He is an awesome character. And yeah, just how he starts off being kind of a pain in the butt and not very nice, and him and what's his name? Flynn Rider, like they don't like each other at all, and then they end up being buddies. But they still take shots at each other even at the end.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
And I think it's very real. There are very few people in my life who I'm 100% lovey-dovey supportive all the time. There's always, when you know somebody really well, there's that little ribbing that comes in with that relationship. So it's very realistic, even though it's a horse. Like,
no, but Disney does a good job. Yeah, they do a good job of making, the animal characters, even in a movie where it's about human characters, they give them like the human characteristics, and it works. You're not watching it, and it doesn't feel weird with the relationship. And maybe it's because we grew up and we're trained on talking animal movies. I don't know. but he's a great character. I love that pick.
I'm actually looking at my list. I think they're all animals.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, now I got to look at mine. They might. No, well, I have one. I'm going to go with my next one. My next one I'm going to go with is not an animal, and then I think the rest of them are probably animals.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, they are. That's definitely true. So my next one is again another newer movie. I think I went with a lot of newer ones, and she is the smart aleck Vanellope von Schweetz from Wreck-It Ralph. You didn't have her either, right?
I did not. I don't know, but she did cross my mind. I was like, ooh, do I put her?
So, you know what's weird is she, like, the movie's called Wreck-It Ralph, and he obviously is supposed to be the star and the main part of the movie, but she kind of gets equal billing in this one. Like, she really does.
Definitely.
So anyway, so she's hilarious. In the beginning of the movie, Ralph's kind of down on life. Then he earns his medal from the other video game. And then Vanellope shows up and steals it, right? So, but she's like Kronk. They're funny in different ways, though. Vanellope knows she's funny. And like I said, she's like a smart aleck. Kronk is just oblivious to how funny he is, which is really cool. But I do love her one-liners. Like there's the one when, I don't know if you remember this one, but my kids, of course, crack up with this one all the time. he tells Vanellope that he won the medal in Hero's Duty. And she goes, and she's like, I bet you really have to watch where you step in Hero's Duty.
Coin, medal, whatever. Just go back to your own dumb game and win another one.
I can't. I didn't win it in my game. I won it in Hero's Duty.
Hero's Duty?
It's not that kind of duty.
I bet you really gotta watch where you step in a game called Hero's Duty. What'd you win the medal for, wiping? I hope you washed your hands after you handled that medal.
Listen,
One more.
Oh.
Why did the hero flush the toilet? Say why.
Why?
Because it was his duty.
How dare you insult Hero's Duty, you little gutter snipe? I earned that medal.
That kills me every time. And my kids, of course, think any joke about, that toilet bathroom humor is the funniest thing in the world for 6 and 4-year-olds. They think it's
They are
hilarious.
not alone. There are some 30-plus-year-olds who are right there with them.
Oh, I laugh just as hard as they do every time.
Oh yeah. Actually, that's one that my husband and I both we kind of lost it with those jokes. We were on a plane.
Yeah.
We had to keep ourselves under control.
And then she's like, she's like, one more. And then she's like,
yeah.
Something like the general, and he's like, it was his duty. And she's like, get it. It's great. And I like Sarah Silverman anyway. Like I've always loved her comedy, and she's edgy as a female comedian can get. And
yes,
she was a funny choice for the movie. But then now you can't think of anyone else playing Vanellope. She's perfect.
Yeah. The new scene. Did you see the new scene at D23?
No, because I didn't see that, and I still haven't seen it.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. So Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yeah, can you find it on YouTube yet? Because I haven't seen it.
I don't know, because I was in 2 panels where they showed it, and I laughed just as hard in both.
Yeah.
But in both of them, that was the scene that they made us put our phones away for.
Right.
But for those who didn't listen to the D23 recap, basically, they brought back all of, as much as they could, the original voices of the princesses. And there's this whole scene that plays off of the princess, every princess's, unique offering, unique personality quirk. So Ariel sings some lines, and it's Jodie Benson. I mean, it's Belle's there. They've got the original voice of Mulan. They've got everybody that they could get, and it's all about Vanellope realizing that she is royalty as well, and kind of what that all means. And it's just hysterical. If you love the princesses, if you love the creativity behind all of this, it's just amazing what they did with this scene, poking fun at themselves, but then also still preserving the integrity of it all, which is a tough line to walk. But Sarah Silverman's at the center of it all as the newest princess, is sort of how they frame it. So it's really amazing.
So 2 things. One, I was laughing in the middle because I can hear your dog, and I don't know.
Sorry, I have no clue what's going
don't,
on out there.
Please don't apologize. It just made me laugh. I had to hit mute because you're carrying on perfectly, and I'm like, how is she doing that with the dog barking in the background? It's made me laugh.
Oh, this is my life. Yeah. I can run and grab her.
Don't worry about it. She barks again and whatever. She's fine. But no, I want to see it so badly, and I haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to have to look. I got to look on YouTube. And I know they made everybody put their phones away, so you weren't able to record it. But I thought they would have released it pretty soon after to get the buzz started for everyone else. I really want to see it. But yeah, Vanellope is awesome. One of my favorite characters.
The reason they haven't released it is a lot of it was still pencil sketches.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
It was not the completed animation. So it was very interesting to see it because they have the voiceover, but it would go from, kind of the produced scene, and then it would go into these pencil sketches. Mouths aren't even moving.
Oh, that's
You just
cool.
have the voiceover over like character close-ups. And then there were some that were kind of the rough computer animation. So like everybody's very angular, like they haven't been smoothed out yet. And it would kind of go back and forth between these like very finished looking shots and very, very, very rough or not even animated at all, just stand in black and white pencil drawings. It was really intriguing just from the animation side to see, okay, so we have a script and we have the voiceover with the final voiceover, and then the animation comes and layers in and how like the stages that they go through that. So it was a very interesting thing to see, and I think that's why they haven't released it.
See, I always found that so interesting that they record the voices before they do any of the animation for the movie, and it makes sense now. Like I didn't understand. Never knew that as a kid, but I like heard stories that when like Paige O'Hara would come in to do Belle, she always like blew the hair out of her face, like off her forehead, and that's why they put that into the movie with Belle. Like they were characteristics that Paige O'Hara has or had at the time.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so they would write it into the movie, and that it makes sense. Like when I watched Tangled, you see Mandy Moore's facial expressions in Rapunzel all the time. It is a little creepy actually, because that they filmed her doing her lines, and she almost makes the face of Mandy Moore, and you're like, whoa, that was weird. But and there was a I don't know if you remember, like years ago they released, I don't know what anniversary of Beauty and the Beast it was, 20th or something like that. They released the Blu-ray, and on the Blu-ray there was the theater version, the newly restored Blu-ray version of the movie, and then there was the rough cut that they originally showed to test audiences. And
really,
yeah, and it's really cool to watch it because the whole movie is like that. Yeah, so the whole movie is a lot of pencil sketches and rough, but it's all the right music and the right voices, and the Beast looks a little different in some of the scenes, and so does Belle, and it's really cool.
Oh, how fun!
Yeah, again, I should just call this the Tangent Show,
the Disney Tangent.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's every time, but it's really, really neat. So you should check that out. If you probably have it in your house somewhere.
I do. I've never looked at the rough cut though.
Yeah. I mean, if you bought a Beauty and the Beast DVD in the last like 15 years, you probably have it.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And then there was the one on The Little Mermaid. They had the original computer animation for the original Little Mermaid attraction they were going to do in Magic Kingdom on that DVD. And that came out when I was still living in Florida. So that was at least, 11 years ago that I bought that. And it was years later and before the actual Little Mermaid attraction was built.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool because it's pretty close to what they ended up making. But you can see the old version of it on that DVD. So
how fun.
Yeah, see, lots of nerdy information to get. All right.
Love it.
All right, you're up, Lauren, for your next character.
Okay, let's see. Where do I want to go next? All right. So from Vanellope, I am going to go to Baloo from the Jungle Book.
Nice. Not on my list.
Look at us.
I know. I think we played that game.
Yeah.
Of what's he going to pick? I'll pick somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to be really kind of outside the box with this, but I can't think of another character that as a kid I felt so endeared to. Just because he was, the big brother, uncle, protector that you knew Mowgli needed. And I mean, Phil Harris's voice alone is just so soothing and warm and comforting. And obviously plays off of Bagheera a lot, and he serves more of the lighthearted role. But I mean, for bare necessities alone, he's totally memorable.
Look, now it's like this, little britches. All you gotta do is Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean, bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipes. That
But
bring the bare
I
necessities.
always felt like if I had a bear to protect me, that I could get through life. And that's really what Mowgli has. It's how he ends up surviving and until he doesn't need him anymore. And I think that sometimes my last one is that's definitely the case, that sometimes I think the best sidekicks are the ones we need just for a season as we're growing. And it's such a special thing for kids to see and realize that, there are seasons to some of this. And for all of those reasons, I love Baloo.
Baloo is a great one. And do me a favor, don't get a bear. I'm thinking of you having a bear where you live, and that could be a kind of a problem.
Yeah, my husband's rather obsessed with bears, so
Is he really?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
He comes home with one.
Yeah, it wouldn't be shocking to me if he walked in with one. Whenever we go to like a zoo or whatever, we're always at the bear exhibit like immediately. So, but yeah. We have a problem.
He's just an awesome character. He really is. And just you said, bare necessities alone makes him one of the coolest Disney characters out there. Such a great song. We have it on. We have like there's one of those best of Disney albums in my car, and I didn't realize when I bought. We have a Honda Pilot, and I didn't realize when you put a CD in. When I first got it, it automatically rips the music to the hard drive.
Really?
Yeah. So it's in my car forever. So we have.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we have like all the I didn't realize it, but now I have like 25 albums on my hard drive, and it's all kid stuff. It's like Imagination Movers, the Disney soundtrack, the Disneyland official soundtrack, the Disney, the park CDs that have all the the park music. Yeah. So. Bare Necessities is one of the ones on there, and
I love
listen to that in my car all the time. But what's really funny is I forgot about it again, and my brother he's into all kinds of indie bands, and he's always trying to get me into them. So he gave me a DVD or a CD of this band. He's like, "Yeah, listen to it." So I forgot about the DVD ripping thing, and I put it in the CD. I put it in the CD player in my car, and I didn't like it at all. Like I was listening to the songs, I was like, "This song, I don't like this." But I can't get it off my hard drive.
You have to erase, now you've got it forever.
Yeah, because you have to erase the whole hard drive to get it off. So
really?
Yeah, you can't just take one album. I know. I don't know why it was designed that way.
Technical flaw.
Until we get a new car, that silly album that I don't like is going to be on there. But yeah, we have all the good stuff though. My kids have oh my God, they have no chance in life. They're just going to be Disney nerds until. Forever. So that's okay.
Not a bad thing.
No, it's good.
They're among friends here.
There could be worse things they're into.
Absolutely.
So you made me think when you said sometimes you need, the sidekicks only there for like a season or like a part of the life. And so now it made me change my order a little bit. So now I'm going to one that I wasn't going to go with next, but because you said that, it kind of plays off that a little bit. And I am going with Ray from The Princess and the Frog.
Ah.
So, okay. So spoiler alert right off the bat. If you haven't seen Princess and the Frog, I know, Lauren, you've seen it, right?
I have not actually. That is one. I know. It's a big oversight. Again, like when movies come out in my season of life, sometimes I miss them. And that one came out in a Disney dry spell.
You were probably like 12 when that came out.
No.
How long did that come out? About 10, probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, I think maybe about 8. So yeah.
So yeah, you were right out of college.
Yeah.
Or maybe not even yet. Fresh.
No, I was
fresh faced, going, partying at the bars every weekend.
You know me so well.
Yeah, you weren't like I think I was already married when this came out. So Amy and I went to the movies to see it. And Ray is the lightning bug or the firefly from Princess and the Frog. and I can't tell you what I wanted to tell you because I want to.
You can. Don't worry. Spoilers are totally fine.
Okay, so if you haven't seen it, Lauren aside, hit the skip ahead 15 seconds, like 3 or 4 times right now, so you don't get a spoiler. But Ray dies at the end of the movie, and I totally forgot that he dies. Why? Because I just remembered how funny he was, and I wanted my kids to enjoy the movie. So we were in our home theater room, like last year, a little more than a year ago, watching Princess and the Frog for the first time. They are in their big movie chairs, their feet up, have their snacks. They are into it, man. Like, into it, loving the music. Story's awesome. Dr. Facilier comes on the scene. They're in the graveyard cemetery. I see Ray, and I'm like, oh no. I had forgotten. And it's like 10 seconds before the scene. And I quickly run through the options in my head, right? Do I pause it and explain to them what's going to happen? Do I skip it and then they miss this big scene in the movie? Or do I just let it play? So as the horrible father that I am, I just let it play. And I had 3 bawling children because he died. Like, bawling. And I had to explain death like 10 times that day. And then after, it was terrible. Like, I don't know. I had to make a call, and that's the one I made.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But you know what? I think that's the beauty of Disney movies sometimes. I mean, look at how many characters die. Like,
I know.
Mufasa, hello. Like,
yeah. So it's going to happen.
There's a lot of it, and it's important. It's something that our kids need to understand, and they can learn it in a safe place, and and they can understand that the sadness is okay. I mean, there's a lot that comes with it. So I think you made a good call.
It's it maybe, but it started my son Jack's kind of fascination with death. And
maybe not a good call.
I don't know if I told you this. I think I've mentioned it on the show, but when we were we were walking around Disney World and Magic Kingdom, and I've mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, but I mentioned to you that my wife Amy, her mom passed away 17 years ago. Amy was in her early 20s. So we had to explain to Jack and to all 3 of our kids that her mom had passed away, and it's very sad, and we celebrate her birthday every year and all that. So we're walking around Magic Kingdom, and Jack looks at me with this, he makes like these quizzical faces, and he goes, "Dad, is Walt Disney dead?" And I go, "Yeah, buddy, Walt Disney died a long time ago." And he goes, "Okay, so 2 people are dead. Walt Disney and Mommy's mommy."
Oh.
So
if only.
we just started dying. Like, Amy, it was like not sad at all. It was just hilarious from a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
It's really funny. So anyway, yes, if you haven't, so again, if I haven't spoiled the movie for you enough already, he does die. But he's also the nicest, the kindest, the sweetest character there is in that movie. He's awesome. He's totally positive. That's just why it's so upsetting when he dies. So he's totally positive, hilarious. He makes jokes about his butt lighting up. Like, he's like, don't make me make my butt light up. Like, it's
back to the potty humor.
Yeah, and
loving
it's Jim Cummings does the voice, and he does a New Orleans accent,
cool.
like this Cajun accent that I can't do. I'm not even going to try. You know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to go. When are we recording this? It's what's today? Thursday. I have time, so I'm going to go back into this episode and put some sound bites in from some of these characters, because some of them are really good, and I want people to kind of hear them if they haven't heard them before. But yeah. So now that the end of that movie is completely ruined for you, you should go see it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Rent
Yeah,
it.
it's
What year is
been
this
on
that
the list.
I said you should rent the movie. Like, you can't just. I know. I showed my age, right? Like, you can't
I'll prime it.
Like, you can't instantly pick up your phone right now and put it on. Like,
exactly.
Anyway,
I'll go to Blockbuster, Phil.
Go to. We have one called West Coast Video when I was a kid. It was a local chain. We had a West Coast Video, and we had Movie World. They were our two.
Ooh.
And then we got Blockbuster when I was like in high school.
Nice.
They moved in. The big boy moved into the neighborhood. And then when I lived in Florida, we had Movie Gallery. They had a theme song when you were in there. You know how they would, all the video places would like show the movie clips while you were in there. So Movie Gallery would go, Movie Gallery, play on, play on, play on, play on, like that. That was the movie. So anybody who lives around Central Florida, you just got like a blast from the past for me. So I know you remember that. Anyway,
there you go.
Sorry, Lauren. Again with the tangents. You're up. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that everyone Princess and a Frog for you. But
No.
It's a good movie. You should still say it.
Statute of limitations is like 6 months. If you haven't watched it, then you deserve to have movies ruined.
That's so funny.
Just the way it works.
That. It just reminded me, I was listening to an audiobook on Audible, and the author, who's hilarious, goes, he says something, and he's like, and it'll kill you like Kylo Ren killed his father, Han Solo. And then he goes, come on, you had 20 months to watch that movie.
Yes.
He was like all angry, like, he's like, I didn't have to say spoiler alert. It made me laugh so hard because I was like, I can't believe he did that. But then I said, yeah, well, if it came out a year and a half after, or almost 2 years after the movie came out, it's okay.
Yeah.
And for anyone I just ruined that for, I'm sorry. But it wasn't me. It was the author of the book. Anyway, sorry, Lauren.
I think I've read this book.
It's Finished, I believe it's called.
Okay.
By John Acuff. I don't know.
No, I haven't read that one.
Good book.
There's a similar moment in a different entrepreneurial book. So that's funny. I mean, and I feel like Star Wars, you know what, your statute of limitations is a lot shorter at this point. Like if you're not in there in a week, like we're talking about it. Sorry.
You're done. Yeah.
It's happening.
I know that Alexa doesn't know yet about the Darth Vader Luke Skywalker situation.
Oh.
So the new movie comes out in a couple months, and we're planning a weekend where she and I will sit and watch the first, 4. I'm not going to do the prequels.
Yeah. The only ones that exist.
Yeah, we're going to do 4 of them. We're not going to do the prequels because she doesn't need it. It's maybe later on she can see those.
Pod racing.
Yeah, but I'm excited because she's super into it now. And she was brave for Halloween and she loves it. So yeah. So it's going to be exciting. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. Jeez, you're up.
We got theme songs for movie rental places.
This is my problem.
We covered a lot of ground there.
I used
all
to be like
spawned by a little firefly.
Yeah, and I used to be. When I first started doing this show, I was like, oh man, I'm too embarrassed to sing or to make jokes. Now I'm like, whatever. People listen. I think people like it. I hear that people like it, so it's staying.
Well, I don't know. You could ask them right now. You like Phil singing and want more. I think you should go comment on the Ear to Their Travel Facebook page. Yeah. Come over, tell him that you enjoy his vocal abilities.
Yeah. I think I am the only one that enjoys it. Really, just me. But it's for me, so it's fine.
There you go.
All right, Lawrence.
All right. So, I'm going to cheat on my last one. This one I'm going to keep very, very by the book. I'm going to go with Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. And one of the reasons I chose him is it's really hard, I think, to find a sidekick that gets their own spotlight, but is still clearly a sidekick. So, for instance, someone like Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. You could argue he's the sidekick. You could argue he's the co-star because he has so much screen time. Whereas Sebastian, I think, is clearly in the sidekick category, but he has 2 epic songs, and he is the star, you could argue, of Le Poisson as well. So he has a lot of screen time, but he's clearly not the focus. And he's the voice of reason. He's kind of the curmudgeon, stick in the mud. But again, like, you need that sometimes, especially when you're the Little Mermaid flitting about and you know, you're young. You need that voice of reason in your life. So, and he's a very fun voice of reason as well. So That's why I put Sebastian for all of those reasons, but most especially his songs, his vocal talents alone.
Yeah.
I think escalate him to the stratosphere of one of the best animated Disney sidekicks.
Dude, he is a phenomenal sidekick. Again, another one not on my list. I must have. I went crazy with this list. I was completely went newer movies and forgot about all the old stuff because I was like, I don't know which way I went. But he's an awesome sidekick. We were watching that movie in our car yesterday. I put up a Facebook post about it because it was just really funny interaction between my kids. But Jack completely spazzed and he's seen the movie, when the chef was stuffing him. Stuffing with bread, it don't hurt because you're dead, that part. Jack screaming
That's the moment. Like the animation there, that moment is just seared into my brain.
Jack is yelling at me from the back seat. He's not dead. He's not dead.
Oh,
dude, relax. You've seen this movie before. But yeah,
not a Ray moment. It's not a Ray moment.
No, oh my God. See, yeah, I scarred my children for life.
See, there you go.
But no, I love Sebastian. You're right. I never thought that he has two of the show-stopping songs in that movie.
Totally.
Sing with me now. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, by oh my, look like you're point too shy. Ain't gonna kiss the girl. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, ain't that sad, ain't it a shame? Too bad, he gonna miss the girl.
You know, I feel really bad.
And even on the attractions in Disneyland and Disney World, they're the two best scenes. The Under the Sea is a big scene in that attraction.
Totally.
And then the Kiss the Girl scene is huge too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. He's maybe the most important sidekick ever in any Disney movie.
He really, he tells the story, but he's not a narrator, but he's there for pretty much all the pivotal stuff.
Yeah.
Facilitating it in some cases.
Somebody's listening to this episode right now and they are way too serious about this.
Yeah, probably. But you know what? This is the important stuff in my life.
Exactly.
So.
And you're signing up for a whole lot of Disney in the next several years.
Oh,
so you got to get your see, a podcast like this can really help you prepare. You're gonna be ready.
Exactly.
So that's a great pick. I love Sebastian. I love that pick.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go for what number is this? Is this 4 for me already, or is this 3?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
God,
mine was 7. I know my honorable mentions list is a little obscene.
Yeah, and mine is too, but we're going to have to get through them. All right. So, okay, my next one is another recent movie. Like I said, I think all of mine are. It is from Up, and he is Doug. One of my favorite sidekicks ever.
So cute.
He's man's best friend, right? So he's Carl, not really Carl's in the beginning, but I forget the kid's last name. What the kid's name? The little boy, what's his name? And how can I not remember it?
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank too.
Oh my God.
He only knocks on the door 8,000 times.
Russell.
Hi.
Yes. Yeah. So he's Russell's best friend in the world. I love, as soon as he comes on the scene, he's like, "Hi, I'm Doug. You're my best friend."
Yeah.
He's the best.
Oh.
And
Squirrel.
The squirrel thing is, I wanted to mention the one thing about Squirrel. Now, first of all, it's hilarious every time he does it. Second of all, when he says something, Carl says something's a joke, and Doug goes, "I know a joke."
What a joke.
Hey, I know a joke. A squirrel walks up to a tree and says, "I forgot to store acorns for winter, and now I am dead." Ha! It is funny because the squirrel gets dead.
And this makes me laugh every single time. It's hilarious. But they end up saving Doug at the end of the movie, and they bring him home, and he's Russell's dog forever. I mean, that's great. That's or is he? I can't remember if he ends up as Carl's dog or Russell's dog. It doesn't really matter. He ends up with.
I don't remember either.
I don't even know if they ever tell you whose dog he is, but
shared custody of Doug.
Yeah, Russell gets him every other weekend and every Wednesday. But no, he's a great character. He's hilarious. He's funny. He's man's best friend, perfect sidekick. So yeah, that's why I chose my buddy Doug. I just think he's hilarious. By the way,
so cute.
Have you waited to meet Russell and Doug in Animal Kingdom?
I've not.
So You know how Doug has the collar that you can hear him speak?
Yeah, yeah.
They have that in the queue to meet them in Animal Kingdom. And if you hit a button, you can talk into it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's
it's like
amazing.
A translator. Yeah. It doesn't always work. The last time we did it, it didn't work. But it translates what you say into, like you bark into it and it translates it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, it's neat. So, So anyway.
I've held off on a lot of character meet and greets because, as we've talked about on the show before, I'm pregnant. And so I know there's a lot of time waiting in those queues in the future. So
yeah, you got a lot of that
enjoying
happening.
The attractions while I can.
Yep. And do yourself a favor. Learn from my mistakes and don't ever tell your daughter that she's definitely going to see a character.
Oh yeah.
That I've done it so many times. We're like, oh yeah, we'll go meet Snow White. And then I'm like, oh no, we can't meet her now. And then all three of my kids are screaming, crying because they didn't meet Snow White that day. So,
my gosh,
I'm a
you're
mess.
killing sidekicks.
I'm a mess.
You're
I'm a horrible
promising
father.
Princesses that aren't showing up. This is not okay, Phil.
No, I'm a horrible father. I'm going to get child services is going to call me.
Probably.
After this is on my website. All right. Sorry, another tangent. Lauren, please save us from the tangents.
That's funny. Alrighty, so my last pick. This is my number one. I don't know what is going. It might be the pregnancy hormones. Like I might just be like going super nostalgic. I'm kind of cheating on this one, but my favorite animated sidekick is actually Elliot from Pete's Dragon.
Wow, nice.
So I'm cheating because it's not an animated movie, but Elliot is animated.
Exactly.
And again, it kind of goes to the same thing with Baloo, where like, again, hashtag spoilers if you've not watched the movie from, I think, the 60s.
Yeah, I think the statute of limitations is long gone on that one.
Yeah. Elliot's there for a season, and I think the thing that I love about their dynamic is that Elliot is the protector, but ultimately Elliot ends up needing protection from Pete and Nora and the villagers who are on their side. So it becomes this, yes, Pete obviously needed him for a season, but then the roles reverse, and then their journey together is not over per se, but they don't need each other as much. They don't need to rely on each other. They've both moved on.
There's another kid in trouble? Well, if anyone can get him out of it, you can. I won't see you again.
And so I mean, their songs, that whole movie is just one that I love, but their songs together and the relationship that they have and the faith that they have in each other, even though really nobody trusts that Elliot's real until the very end, all of that I think is again really one of those things that when you're a kid and you have your imaginary friends, having Pete also have an imaginary friend that he proves is real and that he can rely on is so special. So I love Pete's Dragon, and Elliot is my number one best animated Disney sidekick.
You're making me so sad. I feel like I need the disclaimer in the beginning, on a very special Ear to Their podcast. I need that.
You might cry.
I can't do the movie
I went deep.
guy voice. Yeah, you did. And now I'm like, contemplating my own relationships, and listen, it's very
sorry about
true.
That.
It's very true. It's what happens when you invite the pregnant lady onto a podcast.
I know, right?
About best friends.
Lots of feels.
It is. My list is like, this guy makes me laugh. That's why I like him. This guy, other guy makes me laugh.
Oh, I've got those too.
Yeah, I took a little bit of a different. All right, so wait, so that's what I went. So for my last one, this isn't my top. Like these are Mine weren't in any order, so I didn't save any for last.
Okay.
I was kind of just going off of what you said. But I think your kind of friendshipy, kind of sad feely one made me think of this one. And it's my last one that I want to do officially, because I want to mention a couple more, is because it's cheating. The gargoyles from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
They're on my honorable mentions list.
Oh, nice. Okay. So Victor, Hugo, and Laverne, who for some reason I always call Lorraine. I don't know why I do that.
Huh.
But if I call
Back
her
to the future.
Yeah, so if I call her Lorraine here, I apologize. But so they're really the only people or living beings that Quasimodo ever talks to besides Frollo, who is a murderous monster, basically.
Right.
Did you realize, upon rewatching this, I guess I realized it before, but he kills Quasimodo's mother by kicking her in the head. Like, that's how he kills her. He kicks her in the head.
It has been a while since I watched
Like, that's
Hunchback,
crazy.
but that doesn't surprise me because
Like,
Frollo is a meanie.
He is maybe the most, like, monstrous of all
Disney
animated villains. Like, he is no redeeming qualities. He is he's not funny. Like, like Scar, yeah, he kills his brother, but at least he's funny. like Frollo's is not funny. He's got nothing going on. So he kicks Quasimodo's mom in the head with a steel tip boot. Only raises Quasimodo because the priest says he has to. And then locks the poor guy in a bell tower. So anyway, the positive part is his buddies become the gargoyles, who were awesome and funny and motivational and inspirational and kind of raise them. One of my favorite lines is the line by Laverne when she tells him about life not being a spectator sport.
Quasi, take it from an old spectator. Life's not a spectator sport. If watching is all you're going to do, then you're going to watch your life go by without you.
And then he breaks into song about being out there.
Yes, he does. And let me ask you this, though, Lauren. Are they really alive? Or is that, I've debated people with this topic before. Or is it he's just going mad from the isolation, like Tom Hanks and the volleyball in that movie? And he's just
Wilson.
nuts. Yeah, like Wilson. And he thinks that he's talking to them, but he's really not. What's your feeling on that?
Again, it's been a while since I watched it. This is one that was like definitely a mainstay of my childhood. I watched it a lot. I believe they're another one where you could argue they're not real because once Quasimodo doesn't need them, they go back to being stone, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So I think if I had to say one way or the other, I would say they're figments of his imagination, but they're manifestations of his internal sweetness, and it's more of an extension of Quasimodo himself than the actual exterior characters. But darn, they're awesome.
So it's just,
they totally made my list.
Good. So he's going nuts. He's just completely off his rocker.
That's the not PC way to say that.
But he is. That's what's going on. And I always thought that. Yeah. But anyway, they have some great advice for him, and they really help him out. So, yeah, that's why I thought of, again, it's one that, like you said, to steal the line from you, they come into his life for a season, and they are able to help him get through all the hard stuff that he can't get through on his own. So, yeah, it's a good one, and you inspired me to say that one, to use that one as my last one.
Oh, I love them. They are so cute. And I think they're underrated.
Again, yeah, and the movie's underrated too. I think
absolutely
it is a little on the scary side for young kids. I think,
gosh, Hellfire?
Yeah.
Like that song alone? Holy cow.
And there's like a lot of like innuendo in there, and like it's like Esmeralda, and it's one you should wait until your kid's like 12, I think, to watch. I haven't shown my kids yet because I'm like, This one will mess them up. I'm not letting them watch that one. Actually, I think Amy's made that decision, not me. I was like, oh, they'll be all right. And she's like, no, they won't be. We're not watching it. We let them watch Goonies, and that was a big mistake.
Oh, really?
It was on cable, so there weren't curses or anything like that in it.
Yeah.
But I taped it because I saw that it was on, taped it. Jeez, so old.
Wow, taped it, huh?
I DVR'd it. I used the old VCR machine in my house. We recorded it and they watched it, and they were a little freaked out by Sloth. They were a little scared of him.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Another horrible parenting decision. I'm just going downhill fast.
At least you're honest about it.
Hey, I put all the cards on the table. One thing you can't say is that I'm making stuff up, or no, I'm not ever. Anyway, all right, Lauren, your honorable mention list. Who do you have?
Okay, I will crack these up. I've got 4.
Okay.
The first is Mushu from Mulan. I don't particularly care for Mulan, with the exception of, Donny Osmond. But he stands out for me as a character who just really is funny and adds something to, frankly, something that a movie that I've kind of always found pretty boring. So I put him on my honorable mentions list. I love the horses, as we know, because I went with Maximus, but Bullseye from Toy Story 2, in particular from Toy Story 2, because he does really pair up with Woody. And I think Toy Story is one where I was like, I have to pick one from Toy Story. And then I looked and I'm like, they're all kind of amazing supporting characters. Yeah. There's not really one sidekick, but Bullseye stands out to me as one who, in 2 in particular, comes up and saves the day and helps Woody out and is a pal. So put him. And then my 2 others are the scene stealing sidekicks, who you could argue become like favorites and lead the way. I would say Dory from Finding Nemo and Genie from Aladdin.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about Genie. Darn. That's a good one.
Right? Because he's so not a sidekick, but when you if you looked at it and look at the story, you kind of go, but he kind of is. Yeah. Even though at the end of the day, it kind of looks like Aladdin is Genie's sidekick because Robin Williams is just so darn good. And same thing with Ellen DeGeneres' story. Like they aren't the focus, but they super are. So I didn't feel comfortable putting them in the sidekick category, even though technically I think they are. I think they're just favorite characters overall.
Yeah. What's funny is I had a couple of those on my list.
Did you?
I had Mushu on my honorable mention list.
Awesome.
And I had Dory on my honorable mention list as well. The one thing that always bugged me about Finding Nemo, and I love that movie, I really do, is why is Marlin so mean? He's downright mean to Dory. Like, he doesn't have to be that mean.
Yeah. No.
Like, she obviously has a problem. She can't remember anything. And he's just mean about it, like 4 times in the movie. I'm like, will you just relax, dude? Like, seriously.
His kid is lost, Phil. We know that that's...
I understand that he's stressed out that his kid's lost. You know what? Maybe I didn't put myself in his shoes, and I should.
Yeah.
And I should think about it more. But anyway, yeah, it always bugged me that he was kind of not nice. And then what's funny is I saw it's Albert Brooks, right?
Yes.
And This is 40, is that what it's called? Whatever it is, with Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann and
yes, yeah, I never saw it.
So he plays Paul Rudd's dad in the movie. And every time Albert Brooks talks, I just see Marlon. Like he didn't change his voice at all for that role. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
But my other so my favorite honorable mention on the list, I had a couple more. I had Jiminy Cricket because he's like the ultimate sidekick.
Yes.
And I told Amy that this morning when we were talking about who I was picking, and she said that he was terrible. And I said, "You are nuts. How did I marry someone who doesn't like Jiminy Cricket? I don't understand it."
Is she not into like having a conscience? Is that what's going on here? Amy,
you hung out with her. You tell me. I don't know.
She seemed very pleasant and nice, but I never would have said that.
But no, like she's like, no, he's lame. I'm like, he's not lame. He's his conscience, and he has some really funny lines too. Like if you watch
Sebastian are kind of similar.
Yeah, you're right.
I would argue, in that respect.
Yeah, they're both kind of curmudgeon-y, kind of old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, Jiminy
Jimmy's
Cricket.
a little more of a stick in the mud, I would argue.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, so Jiminy Cricket. Then I had Nick Wilde on my list from Zootopia.
Oh,
a great sidekick. And he's, again, one of those ones that you said. They could be kind of the star of the movie because it kind of, the end kind of revolves around him and his story.
Yeah.
So I really like that one. And I like that he starts as a crook and he's selling the popsicles back to the people who were built, the popsicle sticks.
Yeah.
And really funny.
Yeah.
He calls it Redwood. I love that. And my favorite honorable mention on the list is Heimlich from Bug's Life. I love Heimlich. He's hilarious.
The choo-choo train is one of my favorite attractions.
Did we ride that with you at DCA? I couldn't remember.
I think we did.
Yeah, because we rode it like 4 times when we were there. And my kids loved it. They loved it. They know the character, and they love at the end when he when he turns into the butterfly with the little wings that can't fly.
Yeah.
I love that scene. But that attraction is going to be, I can't tell my kids that they're going to get rid of it because they will be so upset.
Yeah.
Because just riding through it and he's, the candy corn, nom, 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 like, I love that. And I can't do the voice. I sound like Yoda when I try to do it. Yeah,
you did,
I will. Yes.
Frank Oz got nothing on you.
That's my Yoda, and I also do a Grover. Ready? I'm going to do my Grover.
Okay.
I do this for my kids, and they think it's spot on. So I'm going to move the microphone so I don't yell in your ear because I have to yell. All right, hold on a second. Ready? Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to get a drink of water first. Wait a second.
The artist prepares.
One of my terrible impressions. Ready? It goes, "Hello, everybody." That's my Grover.
I like it. That's good.
The kids think it's perfect.
Really good.
They think it's spot on. They're like, "Dad, that is Grover."
Do you throw your head back too and
I did
yell
actually,
like into the air?
Yeah, through my arms shaking a little bit. Yeah, I do all that.
Love it. Love it.
But anyway, Heimlich. Back to Heimlich. I think he's such a funny character in a movie, and he ends up being a hero at the end because he's like a scaredy cat. He's afraid of the grasshoppers, wants nothing to do with them, and then he ends up fighting with all the ants at the end and the other bugs and saving the day. So he's awesome. He's a hero. He's hilarious. And he has his own attraction at DCA in September of 2017. And that was one of the attractions that has the smells on it, which is really cool too. And I love
outdoors.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
because you would think that wouldn't work, but it does. And
it does.
I don't know the different. I remember there's like a watermelon, right? There's a pop or a candy corn smell. Maybe a popcorn smell. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. But I love it.
I know the watermelon for sure. He does eat a carrot. Because one of the lines is, "Mommy says carrots are good for my eyes, but I don't want to put carrots in my eyes." Which I love. That one just cracks me up.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but I don't think they do a carrot scent. I think they do the watermelon and the candy corn, and then there might be animal crackers.
Animal crackers. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, that's a great attraction. It's so
like
silly.
A 2-second ride. So.
It is, and it's so silly and it's so simple, but you just laugh like a maniac when you're on it. I look like I laugh harder than my kids. People must think I'm nuts when I get off that ride. I'm laughing my butt off. Anyway, that's why he was my last one.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, he's so cute.
Lauren, this was awesome. This was so much fun.
This was so fun.
And I have more characters that I could talk about, but I'm going to stop.
Of course.
We'd be here for an hour. Then do another 2-hour show. But thank you so much, as always, for coming on. You were awesome and a good sport, even though you're a little bit sensitive right now with the pregnancy brain.
Just that time of life right now. Okay?
I'm kidding. You're awesome. And I want you to tell people where they can find it, like plug whatever you got to plug, whatever you want to do, because you are one of the smartest people that I know, and you do lots of cool stuff with your actual job. So tell people where they can kind of find you.
Thank you. Yes. So I help students get ready for the SAT and ACT. Sadly, it's not a Disney related event. I wish there was some way I could tie it in, but I do that over at higherscorestestprep.com. I also have a podcast called The College Checklist, and I have another podcast called The Unsexy Side, which is all about entrepreneurship, online entrepreneurship, kind of the things we don't like to talk about in the online entrepreneurship world, the stuff that's hard and challenging and frankly unsexy. So,
and that is a great show.
Thank you.
You gotta check that out.
I'm not as regular and routine, and Lord knows that's not going to get any better in the next few months.
Nope.
But you know what? I put it out when I feel inspired to, and hopefully, if you're an online entrepreneur as well, it can help inspire you. That is Disney related sometimes because I use movies to and different. I use Walt, his life story as well to sort of create a foil and talk a little bit about how what's going on in a movie or in someone else's life can help us as we're on our journey. So hopefully you find that entertaining.
Yeah,
you like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And listen, Lauren, I'm going to put the offer out on the table now. Since you've done the intro to my podcasts, I am more than happy to come on any of yours and do Grover or Yoda or Mickey Mouse. You've heard my Mickey Mouse too.
I have. It's pretty good. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Phil.
Yeah, the offer's on the table, just so you know. All right, Lauren, thank you. And I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There podcast. Thank you so much again to my friend, to my co-host, to my sidekick this episode, Mrs. Lauren Gaggioli. Even though she made me tear up a couple of times with her choices and her explanations behind her choices, that was a ton of fun, as you could tell by my laughing throughout pretty much the entire show. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. I hope you laughed along with us. And now I want to know, who is your favorite Disney sidekick? I'm going to ask that question along with this episode on the Facebook page. So come on over to facebook.com/ear2therephil and let me know in the comments this week, who is your favorite Disney animated sidekick? All right, just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There podcast. Those will be appearing in your feed each and every Monday morning. Also, look out for an Ear to There podcast, Walt Disney World Word of the Week, appearing in that same feed each and every Wednesday morning. And then also look out for my new podcast, or newer, as I said at the beginning of the show, Running for Sandwiches. Those podcasts will be released every Tuesday morning. All right, so thank you again so much for listening to the show. You are awesome, and I appreciate you. So until next week, have a great week. Too many weeks. Have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.